Everett Cat Studios. Thank you, Carl.
Meow.
You too, kitty. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Acid Cat Studios, also known as Avid Cat Studios. I'm your host, Stormchild, and this is Mr. Monk. Well, that's Mr. Monk, but what I meant to say was this is the episode that I am titling, what you see titled, Santa Claus Tries to Kill Monk, which is true. You'll get into that in a minute. If you've never seen Monk or whatever, don't worry. That little bit is called foreshadowing. He is a very nice guy, but he's also been traumatized by his wife, blowing up and dying. And then he's always kind of had idiosyncrasies, and it's just a good scene. He's very germophobic. He has like over 200 things that he's actually afraid of. And you're seeing him like, oh, well, he's just calling his ex-nurse or his nurse and current assistant, whatever you want to call it. This is season 1, episode 4, also titled Mr. Monk Goes to the Asylum. Hi, Doc. He calls Sharona, and he's like, hey, where am I? And he's like, no, you're in these people's house. You got to go, dude. He's like, oh. So they think he just experienced like a blackout situation. And that's entirely possible because he thought, oh, look, see, crazy house. He's lives in his apartment alone, and he's very OCD. That's kind of the whole shtick. Bitty Shram, that's the woman who played Sharona. She was only on it for a few seasons, and then see like this being, which is still is broken, but it's driving him nuts. But at least it's centered now. That's his real psychiatrist, who's like, hey man, see, he's a little nuts. You got to go to this place. I couldn't figure out if that dude was kind of like a dick or like he was just following orders. Apparently, he's just following orders. This is his new psychiatrist at the mental health hospital. There's nothing wrong with getting actual mental help for any reason. I mean, it's fine. Although some people just are in it for the money, and that sucks. But this guy seems to legitimately try and care, I should say, about Monk's plight and problems. And he's not wrong for doing so. And then you get Kevin Nealon, his roommate, who has a thing of like being a placater, being like, hey, this is where he tells him, oh, I've just got here. But he's like, no, dude, I just got here too. Like if you say, hey, been a construction worker, he's like, so was I. I was a cop. Oh, I was a cop too. That's Monk's backstory. He was a cop. Then his wife got blowed up, and he spent 3 years like just trapped inside of his house, and his nurse kept him basically going through life along with his psychiatrist. And this guy is telling him about a murder mystery that happened long before that. There was somebody who escaped and killed a former doctor who was going to be a head guy at the time. And there's somebody just got out and was looking for drugs and then stabbed him to death. And this guy believes in Santa Claus. Here's your key argument right here. This guy's like, no, dude, I've seen Santa Claus. He's real. Don't mock me. She's crazy, but also somebody's secretly gaslighting all the patients, basically, in order to manipulate them. Could it be that guy? I don't know. He just really believes in Santa Claus. And Monk tries to get into doing art, to try to pass the time as some people do, but he's very OCD, so he's trying to draw a candy cane, and it comes out like this, essentially. He's a very nice dude, but he's very persnickety, as another character would say. She starts thinking, oh, well, I saw this guy, I saw this happen, and they're like, no, you didn't, and then he's like, oh, I'm gonna take pictures of Santa Claus. I got proof of it. Yes, I finally got proof of Santa Claus. And Like, oh, like a kid waking up on Christmas or Christmas Eve thinking like, well, what's going on? What's happening here? Oh my God. And then it kind of zooms ahead forward and they start having group therapy sessions. He goes into this whole big conspiracy about like where Santa Claus came from, who he really is, and how long he's been tracking him, and he's convinced that he can see him outside of his window. He even gets evidence here. And then jumping ahead a little forward, like see the patient junkie kills self or whatever, and like, maybe there was a junkie and a patient who got murdered, and then Monk, I should say, is trying to get everybody in this room. Being like, okay, let's just pretend this is this. Like, how would the thing go down? He's very, very good at patterns, and he's that's really what is the crux of the show. Like, something's a little off, which yes, Murder, She Wrote did do that, but I think this does it in a more serious way. There were only 8 seasons of this show, and they eventually have a reconciliation, and it ends very, very well. So every time I see like her doing this, I keep thinking, there's like, sometimes I put things on my hands under my arms and then I sniff them. Yeah, Biddy was very hot. He's being like, hey, they're like, oh, you drew this. I'm like, Monk can't draw shit. Like, if he's gonna draw something, don't gaslight him with like, oh, you drew this of your dead wife. You know what you were doing. And they're like, all right, whatever, dude. And she's like, okay, I've looked up some stuff in the library, or I will. They had proof of the Santa Claus. She's like, I believe you because you've never lied to me. And like the 4 episodes we've been together, but she's been with him like for 4 years, I think, up to this point. And I think it was a contract dispute or something that actually got rid of her. She starts talking this dude up. He's like, oh yeah. I was like, oh, you're a guy I thought you could come see or whatever. And then he goes off and like, okay, well, she finds out some information. And then, see, glowing paint, it comes back. It's like, Monk, you're not crazy. And then, like, this superimposed picture of, like, all, like, the messaging. I like that it, like, wobbles. That's a nice touch. So, they come to figure out, like, who's the mystery killer? Who is it? Oh, he's locked in a crazy suit now. They're going to give him, like, a big injection of Thorazine. At this point, Monk has already figured out like who the killer is, but like they kind of leave you in suspense a little bit, but you're pretty sure it's the doctor dude. But you're like, okay, well, how's he going to get out of it? Well, because he's a crazy person and he's also very intelligent. He manages to Houdini his way out of a straitjacket. Awesome. Go back to this guy's like, well, why does he keep seeing Santa Claus? Good question, Monk. I've always wondered that myself. Because there's a big chimney, and there was a gun being used at one point. And oh no, there's Santa Claus. Oh my God. Why is Santa Claus? Oh, you're way high up. He does not like heights. He's like deathly afraid of heights. But look at what Santa's doing. He's up. There's Santa Claus. Clearly, it's not really Christmas time. It's like fucking July or something. And he's down there trying to, see, that's how it went down. Like, I made it look like a murder. Yeah. And because the other guy was going to get the position over him. And then he got this guy all drugged up and then killed him in the woods. It was that guy all along. And she believes him. And one of my favorite scenes of all time is this line.
I want you to know, except for the murders and you're trying to kill me, you really were the best doctor I ever had. Hang on.
So that's, the time that Santa tried to kill Monk. Christmas is kind of a running theme with him because his wife got blown up on Christmas. See, now he's back at his house and he's like, okay, well, finally I'm back here. Christmas is a running theme with this dude. Because, like I said, his wife got blown up on Christmas. He's had this Christmas present for years. and he's never opened it. And if you watch all 8 seasons, you finally get the answer to that. Will I explain that? Probably. Would I probably write some of these down instead of trying to do this on the fly? Absolutely. That makes more sense than what I'm doing right now. But at the same time, what's more entertaining? Something that's scripted or something that's not scripted? I am a writer, and this makes no sense why I'm doing this. But I really, really love this show. The performances in the show are really, really good, especially in the early seasons and like the later seasons. There's one where Monk tries to actually shoot to Santa Claus, or is believed to have shot Santa Claus. There's the one where like Santa Claus is trying to take over, like do a robbery and whatnot, and then like the mystery of his wife's murder in a parking garage after meeting his brother. And that whole thing and what went down there. So seriously, if you like murder mysteries and like the flow of them, this has a very, very good flow for these kinds of things. I highly, highly recommend this show. If not for a couple episodes, I think the through lines, they finally get them nailed down, especially in the later seasons, when they're going through the motions of hey, this is kind of a weird setup. Like the 6-fingered man like shot your wife or blew him up, or then there's like the mysterious judge and a fat guy, and you're like, oh, what is going on in this? But it all ultimately ties together in quite a nice little bow. I like this. Also, this format is not stolen from anybody else. Do not go to Pushing Up Roses, who does a well better job than I ever will with this. She's fantastic. Go look up Pushing Up Roses if I didn't link to her below or whatever. She does the idea for this, which was like that crazy that one time on Murder, She Wrote, where it went completely off the rails. And having seen all 12 seasons of that show, she has a lot to pick from, and she's done like a whole year of that. It's wonderful. She does good stuff. She's done like Golden Girls and Goosebumps and whatnot. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching me ramble on about a crazy man in a crazy house for crazy reasons. And look, Kevin Nealon again. I love him in basically everything. He's a class act. And one more time, the murder. You got my job. They took your job and then they shot this dude. But have a Merry Christmas. Please stay safe out there. And I will see you beautiful people in the new year. Later, guys.